And good evening, all, in this week's edition of the Pete Mezzetti Show. My guests this evening are Maria Phillips and Jason Burke from Kids of America's Heroes. Maria, welcome. How are you?
I'm well,
Good
Pete.
to see you again.
It's wonderful to see you,
Jason.
too.
Pleasure.
How are you, buddy? Good to see you again.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for coming down. It's been a while, but so welcome back.
Thank you.
Not a problem. So, Maria, tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about the organization.
Kids of America's Heroes.
Yes.
We advocate and educate on behalf of military-connected children, connecting them to their community. And how we do that is through various different events throughout the year and different organizations that we partner with, including the National Guard. So that's about us.
Cool. How long have you been in organization?
Jason?
We're actually in our fourth year. We started, got chartered September 11th, which was, kind of a profound day for us. And Maria said, "Hey, this is a sign, that we can start building this entity." We looked to see where there was a need. And there are many nonprofits and organizations supported by the military that help veterans, help active duty, reserve forces, even National Guard. But we saw the need that the children in those communities that were connected, that either were part of children of active duty members, reserve members, National Guard members, were kind of falling by the wayside.
Okay.
And that's where we pick up the ball. We don't want any child to fall by the wayside.
No, of course.
Ever.
No, and then after you pick up the ball and you run with it, what do you do with it?
Well, there's many things that we do with it. On a monthly basis, we send out care packages to children across the country. Most of the children are from the state of Connecticut. However, we do reach out to children all the way in California. They're care packages for children whose parents are currently deployed and serving our great nation. So every month of a parent's deployment, we send a letter and a gift every once in a while.
Okay.
The letter comes from some civilian counterpart child who's thanking the children for their service and sacrifice of parent to our great nation.
And what typically does the package include, or does it vary month by month?
It varies month by month. There's a wristband, Kids of America's Heroes. It glows in the dark, which is amazing, and I love it. So we send things like this, and tattoos, and dog tags made up that say, "My parent is an American hero." Kids of America's Heroes, of course, on the other side. We send dolls, toys, teddy bears. A woman in Hampton made teddy bears for us that we sent out over 2 months ago now. But yes, every month we're sending care packages out, and every year we reset our dial and start over again. Last year we sent over 2,300.
Wow.
And we still deploy a lot of troops, a lot, and not just Army, all the services, Navy, Marine Corps, Air Force support, continuous deployments, not just Afghanistan or Horn of Africa. I mean, the Navy still deploys all the time, as a constant, revolving deployment of its forces since the start of the nation. So, those children get affected as well, not just wartime, but even just patrolling the North Atlantic or littorals. Those parents are still gone, and their kids are still, suffering from that displacement.
Exactly. So, Maria, tell us a little bit about that. You said there was a woman who made teddy bears?
Oh, yes.
Tell us about that.
The teddy bears, she heard our public service announcement air.
Yes.
And decided that she wanted to be part of Kids of America's Heroes. So she designed teddy bears in all different sizes and shapes that we've given out to children of our National Guard here in the state of Connecticut, the Air National Guard of all.
Wow.
So yeah, we just did a pre-deployment event with them a couple of weeks ago, and we'll be doing another one with the National Guard Army, who are deploying soon, but they have a pre-deployment event coming up in July that we'll be part of. Also, Pete, that's our warm and fuzzy portion of us.
Okay.
We have more intense things that we do as well. We,
like?
Since the last time we were here 3 years ago, we were strong advocates for the SA Act, the new Every Student Succeeds Act, to have a clause in it to be inclusive of a military identifier for children in public schools. That law was passed in 2016 by Barack Obama. It has some faults to it and some flaws, excuse me, that we're trying to work through right now. We are pushing through, trying to, although it fell this year, the bill, we would like to see it be inclusive to our National Guard and our Reserve Troop, so that all children in our public school systems will be identified for having a parent who's deployed serving our great nation.
Okay. Jason?
That's been really the catalyst for us starting this, was being recognized in the community. And where kids spend most of their time, 9 months a year, it's in the classroom.
Yeah.
And there's those things that anticipatory grief, or some of the neuropsychological issues that come from their parents being deployed.
Fear, anticipatory grief. The children suffer and struggle through so many different things. There are more than 2 million displaced children living in this country alone. They're the sons and the daughters of our active duty military, deployed National Guard and Reserve. They live in fear, sense of loss, anticipatory grief. They are in the shadows of war here in this country.
Right.
9 times out of 10, while they're in school, the school system doesn't know that that child has a parent who's in a really scary, really bad place. But that child may be acting out and maybe displaying signs of aggression or depression. Instead of, in the past, prior to this law being enacted, there was no way to count a record or to see if that child had a parent who was in a scary place. Now, for active duty military, there is something. But our National Guard here in the state of Connecticut is deployed on a regular basis, as is our Reserve. So those students need to be identified as well.
Jason, I've got a question. For both of you.
Sure.
There's the National Guard, and then there's the Air National Guard.
Right.
So obviously, what's the difference?
Yeah, we kind of shorten it because, and this is, I'll try not to, Maria's laughing because you're like, oh my gosh.
Here we go.
Rabbit hole's coming, because I could talk about this ad nauseum. But, so there's the Army National Guard, which I think just gets referred to as a National Guard.
Right.
People assume that's the Army. So there's the Army National Guard, then there's the Air National Guard, which is really Air Force, the National Guard related to that.
Right.
And it was established, I don't know the year, but Posse Comitatus was established from our government to say our active duty reserve forces will not be used against its own people. So in man-made natural disasters, they wanted a military force that could support that. So the National Guard was established, and it's under a different U.S. code. It's under a different title, which gives the governor of each state control of those entities. So Connecticut National Guard is controlled by the governor.
Right.
Same with all the other states. And in time of war, Congress can say, well, we need supplemental forces, we need these type forces, and some of those are in the Army National Guard and Air National Guard, and they'll deploy them under Title X. And that's just kind of where COA slides in and says, well, we've been at war since 2001. National Guard and Reserve Forces have been utilized like no other time in this country, and it trickles down to affect those families and kids that aren't co-located with a military installation with a lot of the Reserve and National Guard forces that we have here. And yet the outcome or effect is the same if those families were close to a military installation.
It doesn't matter if it's one child whose parent is deployed or parents are deployed, or if it's 500 in a school system. They equally have a right to have military child counseling services, which is another thing that we're doing.
Well, let's talk about that.
All right.
Go for it.
So we have a wonderful person who works for the Fleet and Family Services for the United States Navy, who is a psychiatrist. His name is Dennis Gogan.
Okay.
And he's put together a curriculum for us to bring forth to train therapists and mental health professionals in child counseling for military children exclusively. So unlike a psychiatrist or psychologist or therapist or all of the great acronyms that deal with psychiatric issues of children, this one is going to hone in on what it will be for a child who has a parent who serves our country. There are many cycles of deployment. There's pre-deployment, deployment, and post-deployment. During each one, there's something that is unique for the child and that family that they're going through. It may be the anticipatory grief. It could be the anticipation of their mother or father deploying and having a start, stop to deployment.
Right.
It could be the deployment itself, or when the parent comes home. If their parent comes home whole, meaning whole in body, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're whole in mind.
Right.
They could have PTSD and TBI, traumatic brain injury, and post-traumatic stress disorder, and are taking it out, not intentionally, on their children or on their family.
Right.
It spawns a whole set of things, whether it be dependency in drugs and alcohol or abuse in a household. If it's to an extreme. I'm not saying that all households are that way, but those children need to be able to talk to somebody. So we would like to set up a 211 type information-based, our 211 system in the state. Only have it as a FaceTime, HEPA compliant, of course.
Oh, absolutely.
So that way psychiatrists that we've trained, or therapists, mental health therapists, can reach out to children when in crisis. 100% free to the child and family, 100% confidential, because confidentiality in the military is very important.
Absolutely. Jason, you have something you
we've visited several institutes of higher learning that have like a social work program or a health and human services major where it has a social work aspect to it, a counseling aspect of it. And there's internships and there's certain criteria for those students as they get close to graduation in a master's level program that really might be the linkage too for us to do it, because it's all kind of pro bono work with us now as we still continue to fundraise. But I think that's really what we're looking at now, how we get those counselors in, and Dennis's great work with us as a board member to establish that hierarchy and that outline for the instructional and some of the uniqueness of military culture, deployment cycles, and then the actual interaction with family members that are associated with those dilemmas and those timelines.
Now, how many people do you have on the board?
There are 10 of us.
Yep. Okay.
And we are looking to add in more volunteers. We have a slew of them. You know one who you've interviewed many times, Ray Andrewson. He has volunteered and helped out in numerous events. We did a Kids for Kids dance competition where Ray was there just a couple of weeks back.
Nice.
He also was one of our hosts along with Brian Smith, the famous Brian Smith. He was a host at the cornhole tournament that we did. We do a lot of fundraising, and Pete, to be quite honest with you, we would love any one of your viewers to just sign into their website of COAH, KOAHUSA.org, and click on the donation site. We are always looking to expand our resources. We do not take funds from the federal government. We are singly sponsored by civilians and the great population of the state of Connecticut and the other 52 states.
Would you guys mind sticking around?
52.
Well, and 52.
The territories.
The two territories.
Puerto Rico is very important to us, number one.
There you go.
And Guam.
And Guam.
Would you guys mind sticking around?
No.
Okay, we'll be right back.
Are you ready to go? We don't want to be late. What's more important than tonight?
Registering to be an organ donor.
We have to leave in 3 minutes.
Perfect. It only took 2 minutes.
Really? It only takes 2 minutes?
In the next 2 minutes, what are you doing? If you've ever thought of becoming an organ donor but haven't, now may be the perfect time to pick up your phone and do it.
I should do that.
Honey!
This is the moment I knew. His future had no boundaries.
There are some moments only the forest can inspire. Find yours at discovertheforest.org.
And welcome back to this week's edition of the Pete Mezzetti Show. Sitting here with Maria Phillips and Jason from COAH. Guys, welcome back.
Thanks, Pete.
Thanks. All right, so before we went to the break, we were talking about the awesome website
Yes.
for Kids of America's Heroes, but that was quick. So I want to go back to the website.
Okay.
What website again, and what types of information can people find on the site?
We're easily Googled. If you just Google Kids of America's Heroes, you'll find us. And we are America's Heroes because you don't have to be an American to, a lot of people will make the mistake and say, Kids of Americans Heroes. No, because you don't have to be an American to be in our military.
Right.
So it's America's Heroes.
That's right.
I want to make sure people understand that. You could go to USA.org. Now, COA, of course, is an acronym for Kids of America's Heroes.
Right.
But you can Google us, and we'll be probably the first thing that pops up next to Kim Wilde's "We're the Kids of America." But it's a whole nother story.
No,
it is a good song. We know that.
It is.
And Pete,
yes,
Maria did. We had initially contracted somebody to do the website when we first got started, and Maria's like, I think I can do this. She's designed the whole website that I think is professional as any that you get on. Yeah.
Yeah, everything from the logo to the site. Thank you, Jason. That's very kind of you.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And she designed the vignettes and a lot of actually all the structure and all the vignettes and the links and the donate page, and it's really. I think she could have a second or third career doing that.
I probably do.
Yeah.
There you go.
The only thing is, I do it for free for Kids of America's Heroes.
There you go. So in the first segment, we talked a little bit about fundraising, and you guys do fundraisers. Typically, what types of fundraisers do you guys do?
We have done everything from poker runs.
Okay.
June's Outback. Up in Killingworth.
Sure, absolutely.
June is a kind-hearted, wonderful human being who's hosted us a few years in a row.
Yep.
We've done those. We've done cornhole tournaments. We've done paint parties. We've done, gosh, Jason, help me out here.
Yeah, what was the one we did? There was a beer tasting pizza party in Hamden.
Okay.
So we do different things throughout the year, but it's a lot of fun. We're planning on doing a 5K next year for Flag Day.
Okay.
And I also would like to add in next year a fashion show.
Okay.
Having maybe my friends who run Chico's. Hi, Wendy Gorin, if you're watching, and the Mohegan Sun, and doing a fundraiser for having Chico's model.
Okay.
And doing a fundraiser that way.
Not having Jason and I model. No.
No, of course you both can.
We'll just show up.
Yeah.
That's fine.
We'll just show up like we own the place.
That's right.
Perfect.
We could do that.
There's a couple Speedos for us to try on.
There you go. So, Jason, one thing we didn't talk about in the first segment is your background. You're retired Navy.
I am.
And tell us a little bit about your career.
So I was an aviator for most of my career. I grew up in Pennsylvania and went to the Naval Academy, and my eyes stayed clear enough, I think. It was all before corrective surgery. And went to flight school, flew fixed-wing jets for most of my career. And then the latter part of my career, you age yourself out of flying. So after about the 18, 19-year mark, went back to school, the Naval War College. There was some time. I could 1 year master's program, and then was disenrolled for that for timing, not for my grades. Deployed to Afghanistan in 2008, it's called a provincial reconstruction team, doing it's a counterinsurgency mission, but doing a lot of projects, road projects, large road projects all the way down to women's literacy, chicken coops and tanneries, and so it was, it was a profound experience, kind of being on the ground with the Army in that latter part of my career, and then came back and finished my master's at the War College and worked for a Navy Inspector General. So I learned a lot about how big Navy works. But that whole career, you work with a lot of people, you deploy a lot, and you see. I raised. I didn't raise. My wife did most of the raising of children. 2 daughters while I was gone or on deployments, and that happens all the time. And that's kind of another reason that we, as Maria's a daughter of a World War II veteran that saw it from the other side. I got to live it and see some of the issues that that my daughters went through, and how, even in different ages, how it affected them, affected their schoolwork, how they interacted and acted in schools. And we saw it with other children of colleagues that I was deployed with too. So that was really, as a culmination of that, seeing it from the family's aspect of it, that there was a need, and there always will be a need, since we'll always have folks, service members deployed, and the effects of the family will always be, something that will need to be taken care of and looked after and supported.
Now, how'd you get involved with Kids of America's Heroes? Obviously, Maria called and said, Jason, yes.
Yes, she was camped outside my office. No, we worked together, and we actually were at a function where we had it was a hiring fair. It was a veteran hiring fair, and we had tables next to each other, and that's where we really started talking and started laying the groundwork for something that's unique. It has to be unique, and if we want to serve veterans, how best. There was nothing at the time that was a nonprofit that looked to support the children of military-connected kids, to include, I keep saying National Guard, meaning Army and Air National Guard. Right. Because they've deployed in Afghanistan, the Pennsylvania National Guard was deployed with us. It was the Arizona prior to that, and it was Connecticut Guard after that replaced our team. And they deployed as much as the active duty forces did, and all the states and the families that are part of those families are, they're really kind of not talked about too much, and they may not. It's that warrior culture where they may not seek help because, one, they don't want to have a stigma of you're wanking about something that's going on in your family, and you're not seeking help through the Department of Defense or through the Guard or through the military, and you try and suck it up, and as we know, that's not always the best plan. Yeah, not in this day and age.
No, definitely not.
Back in the 30s and 40s, you just sucked it up, but,
get over it, but not now.
Not now. There's a lot of there's a lot of resources out there that we can leverage.
And do you have something that you would like to add to?
We are one of the few civilian partners with the National Guard. We're a yellow ribbon partner. So we've been fully embraced by them, and it's a wonderful thing. Every time we do an event with them, we're highlighted and called up on stage and pointed out. So it's a beautiful relationship.
And
it's not easy to get.
It's not easy to get. Sorry, I interrupted you there. But it's not easy to get into that fold because you have to be trusted. I mean, although they don't, give us any classified information on the rotation and the deployment cycle. Right. However, you're there with the families. You're there. There has to be a level of trust and support for the leadership of those National Guard units to allow you through the door, because you're going to be talking with the spouses and the children that are there, and they want to ensure that the product going to them is thought out and meaningful.
Maria, do you have something you'd like
I do, of course I do.
Go for it.
So not only do we look for donations, but we are looking for volunteers. So if you're here in the shoreline area and you are looking for something to do that is, if you're in high school and you're looking for a public service that you need to do, come on and see us. We have everything from secretarial work to event work. Managing our National Guard children's mailing list is also very intense. So
grant
we need
writing.
Somebody who needs, what?
Grant writing?
Grant writers, yes, grant writers.
That's always fun.
So there's a whole series of volunteerism. So if you cannot reach into your pocket and provide a small donation, and a small donation, I mean, if you could give $1 a week, that would be fantastic, because that would go a long way. Do you know how much it costs to send out a United States Postal Service small box? I'll tell you.
$13.50.
No, it's $3.75 for a small Pez package to be mailed out. Multiply that by 2,000.
Yeah, okay.
It's a lot of money. So it's just something that you've got to take into consideration. If you want to donate and you don't want to donate cash, donate stamps. We mail out letters every single month. We're mailing out letters. There's a donation level that anyone can reach out and give us. So it's KOAHUSA.org. COAUSA.org. Just get online and give us a call.
I'm sure they must love seeing you come to the post office with all of with everything to mail out. But that's a good thing, because you guys are a worthwhile organization. Until I met you guys and was hearing the public service announcements, I didn't even know you guys existed.
Well, we're brand new. We're 3 years old, or 3.5 years old. So in the nonprofit sector, we're just a baby.
Exactly.
But in that small baby amount of time, we've grown to be not only a Connecticut-based nonprofit, but to be extended throughout the United States, which is awesome.
We got a little bit more time left before we say goodnight. What would you like to add?
Jason, do you have anything you'd like to add?
No, just say we're Connecticut born and grown, and our priority is to start here, to ensure, as Maria alluded to, that the children in our public schools here in Connecticut get recognized, those that are part of families that are serving or have served, and to provide that education and support piece.
We are a resource. If you are a military family who is in need of any sort of resource, come to our website, reach out to us. We'll be more than happy. If we don't know, we can direct you to where you need to be.
Cool.
So use us as a resource.
Maria Phillips and Jason from Kids of America's Heroes, thanks for coming down. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Pete, thanks for having us.
Thanks a lot.